Now, until yesterday, many of you will know that it has been 10 months, or it was 10 months, South Africa not going on load shedding. I mean, ever since last year around March, we have not been seeing load shedding, which was something that was great, so amazing. Finally, to see that South Africa was working or operating without load shedding. But yesterday, we got the shock of our lives. Load shedding is back. Load shedding is being implemented. I think right now in South Africa, the load shedding schedule is currently at a stage 3. I mean, yesterday, Eskom released a statement indicating that after 10 months or more than 10 months of uninterrupted electricity supply due to the success of generation recovery plan, Eskom has issued an alert including high risk load shedding at short notice. This is a potential temporary setback. Load shedding is largely behind us due to the structural improvements in our generation fleet. However, in the past 7 days, we have experienced several breakdowns that require extended repair times. This has necessitated the use of all our emergency reserves, which now needs to be replenished. Consequently, we are close to monitoring the status of our emergency reserves, and load shedding up to stage 4 may be implemented over the weekend. So this weekend we might see load shedding escalating to stage 4 due to the, of course, maintenance which they need to do in their generation fleet, right? So this is what Eskom has said, and unfortunately this has a huge impact into the companies that we invest in the stock market. So with that, I want to give you what the power cuts or load shedding does to the companies that we are investing in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. First thing is, of course, the operational disruption. We have to agree that it does have an impact into the operations of business. Business cannot perform as usual. In fact, some business they have to close, especially knowing that this was short notice. It means that there will be times that some of the business will have to be closed or shut down as they wait for the power to come back. Businesses or retailers that sell food, they now need to make sure that their alternatives come back. I remember companies like Pick and Pay were spending like 60 million per day on all their stores just to make sure that they still operate normally during load shedding. 60 million per day. This shows you that these companies that we invest in, unfortunately, due to load shedding, they start losing money. Now, number 2, it has financial losses. This makes companies to put in measures, which, like I said, Pick and Pay was losing like 60 million per day due to load shedding, because they had to do or come up with alternative plans to make sure that it's still business as usual. They don't lose that much in terms of customers, which this does have an impact into the finances of the company. And this also reduces the revenue cost, because you'll remember also a scenario that I gave you of some of the people not wanting to do certain things because of load shedding. I mean, because of the downtime of some of these businesses, they end up not going to buy that product, to buy the service which they wanted from that company, which therefore have an impact onto the revenues that that company will then generate. This therefore means that the gross margins on these companies that we invest in will be implicated, because now they have to factor in this load shedding, or part of the money that, of course, they would count as profits will be going to help for day-to-day operations of the business, which therefore gross margins and profits get to be compromised, which is why it will lead into financial losses. Companies don't really thrive during this period. Now, number 3, this makes investors' confidence to go down, right? Because investors don't want to invest into an economy or into a country where there are a lot of power cuts, because they know those businesses won't do that well, which therefore make the big institutions or the big investors to keep their money and not invest that much into countries that are experiencing this. So South Africa could lose investors due to load shedding, because investors don't really like power cuts, because they know it will tamper with the revenues, it will tamper with the gross margins, it will tamper with the profits that the company generate on a month to month, on a day to day, on a quarter, and therefore they might wait for alternative, or they might wait for the load shedding dust to settle until they become aggressive once again when it comes to investing into the companies. I mean, these 10 months, I can tell you, investors were happy, investors were investing into SA. But if we are going back to load shedding, this is not good. I mean, our economy, have a look at some of the major things that were hurting our economy in terms of the GDP. It was load shedding. Because of load shedding, the country's GDP does not do well at all. This is why you will see even the credit rating companies coming and downgrade South Africa due to this load shedding crisis, due to this of course, or as a consequence coming from load shedding being implemented. This does not make our company grow that much, but rather it hurts even our economy, which is something that is not good. And you know, when economy is not doing well, investors don't invest, which of course it kills the confidence of the investors. I mean, if we are to really look at some of the sectors that really get to be implicated by load shedding, it has to be the energy intensive companies like mining, manufacturing, heavy industries. These are the most vulnerable businesses that get to be implicated by load shedding. You will remember that during load shedding, I think early last year, Sibanye did say that they are going to even cut their production because of the power cuts or load shedding. They are going to not produce as what they would usually produce under normal circumstances, which is what takes me back to what I was telling you now, that even our GDP gets to be compromised because the output is no longer the same due to load shedding. So the mining companies, the production manufacturing companies, they get to be implicated. I mean, also tech companies, data centers get to be implicated because during load shedding we know that the network, it is not as efficient, which obviously service providers like Vodacom, service providers like MTN, during load shedding they are not doing that well, because we know that there are some areas where with no power comes no network. They can't they can't utilize their data, they can't, of course, buy they can't do certain things from their mobiles, which as a result it hurts those companies. So it is not good for everyone, man. These are some of the things that you will get from load shedding. Retail space, I have said that I have given you a scenario what this does to companies like Pick and Pay, ShopRite, Boxer. These are the companies that are listed in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. I have told you what negative impact load shedding brings to these companies. So all these are some of the things that really makes companies that we invest in the stock market to not be in good positions because their efficiency are compromised, right? This is not good. Load shedding is not only good to consumers or us as the consumers, but also companies that we invest in face some serious hit due to load shedding. Profits get compromised, margins get compromised, which as a result investors don't want to invest. Companies losing profits, companies losing margins, they don't want to invest into that, which all in all it's not a good thing. And therefore I hope South Africa or Eskom finds a very good solution and very quick, so that investors don't flock out of SA investments, or investors don't invest more into SA because of load shedding. The good thing is that obviously Eskom 10-month recovery plan really worked for the country and saved the country from experiencing load shedding for the past 10 months, right? But now that it's back, I think they need to make sure that they revisit the recovery plan and they even maybe implement more strategies that can help South Africa to obviously not be at load shedding, or not to experience load shedding that much, because this will not only be good to consumers, but even our economy will benefit a lot from this. Otherwise, don't forget to like this video, subscribe. These are just my opinions, not professional financial advice. If you seek professional financial advice, you already know what to do. I'll see you on my next video, and God bless you all.